process is Shebby Singh, who's their global advisor. What does that mean, by the way, Shebby? Global advisor. I think you're the only one.
And this is the with the conventional thinking. Soon as you throw in a different title or a different name, everybody goes like, "Hang on a minute, no, it's not as bad as that." Pretty much, yes. To advise on matters, not just football related, but with the commercial side, with the marketing side, and so on and so forth. So it's overlooking everything that involves a football club.
And you had a challenging start, didn't you, really? Because you upset one or two people. You upset Steve Keane, setting him what he thought were unrealistic targets. You upset Morten Gamst Pedersen as well.
Well, I think, you have to upset people to get the best out of them.
Yeah, but I think the Morten comment was disrespectful. Well, as a player, that's disrespectful.
Oh, yeah, the PFA told me that as well.
Yeah.
When the PFA have a real issue on their hands...
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to wait for the PFA. You should have said that's disrespectful.
But never mind, coming back to that, yeah. Yes, I mean, along the way, I'm sure, in our lives we've upset people. Now, when you set targets, that means there's got to be an ambition to try to achieve those. I mean, you can't go through life without setting targets for yourself, can you? So and a football club, especially a club that has been relegated, obviously has to shake itself up. And all the time, as we all know in football, the manager bears the brunt of it. So there was nothing out of the norm that happened.
Did you drive him out, Steve Keane?
No, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, to even suggest that, because when I was given the responsibility, and I was told that, I'm working with Steve, and we had a wonderful working relationship. So there's no way that I will allow anybody to say, you drove him out. Come on. There's thousands of people out there in Blackburn who are possibly more responsible than one man. But,
Was it part of your remit?
Look, it's not part of your remit to do this or do that. But my remit is to oversee the club, to make sure that, we get on side with the fans, we get on side with the sponsors, and we get on side with the football as well. It's not easy. You can't do it over a month or 2 or 3 or 4. It could take a year or 2 or 3 to set that right. So it's not like, I'm not the hatchet man. Let's put it that way. Does it answer your question?
You tell by my smile.
Well, do you take into account? Do you take into account sometimes? I think with managers, you set a target, and a multitude of things can happen from the time you set that target. A classic one is that you sell some of your best players, or you get a few injuries. Does that target then get revisited, or do you just say, well, that's the target was set and you haven't achieved it?
Obviously, as you go along, I mean, every major corporation will have to revisit that target and think, is this achievable? Now, when you set targets, it's best to set targets for periods. So you understand that, okay, this is that period, how have we done? We reassess, and then, we modify the targets for the following period. But if you set a target at the start of the season, say, this is it, 10 months, this is the only target, then you can get into trouble. Because football, as you said, Brendan, it can change. You can lose your best player. We lost our best striker in a pre-season friendly, Leon Best, and that meant we had to adjust, the targets and look at other situations as well. So it's not fair to say that, you've got to stick to one target and you can't change it. That's wrong.
A word on the benches, because at 1 minute it seemed so exciting. These Euros came in with deep pockets full of cash, talking about Ronaldinho and David Beckham coming, and the next minute it was the sale of Phil Jones, the sale of Chris Sanders.
Hang on a minute. Let me just tell you what my day has been like today. Right? It's just crazy where this comes from. So please forgive my bosses if they were linked to Ronaldinho. Did they come out and say, yes, we want so and so? No. But today at noon, I got 3 text messages saying, is it true? Maradona is at Ewood. Now, how do you want me to answer that? So tomorrow you're going to read in the papers that Shebby Singh, said that Maradona has applied for the job. I will look at a complete idiot. So I think, there is a line that we have to draw somewhere and say, does this come from the thoughts of the owners, or it is made up to be like that.
I think
So this is the line that has been
Just say
crossed.
no Maradona isn't coming.
Exactly.
Well, I think he's been
So-
overtaken by
so-
Harry Redknapp in the speculation
Well-
stakes, but that's another story altogether.
Yeah, I
Well,
remember that.
it is, I mean, the speculation out there is just crazy. It is just crazy.
Yeah, but did you not think that you're causing that yourself by letting it linger on?
No, the thing is, you cannot make a decision after what the club has been through. You cannot rush into a decision. Yes, we want to do it as quick as possible.
Surely there should have been a plan in place. Surely.
Yes, well, the plan was in place and the plan has been put into action. But it's not
It's a process.
plan
I mean, you've been talking about going through
It's
a process, and there is a process
Yeah,
that
it
Shebby is
it
going
Jason,
through.
we would like to think that, bang, that's the one we want, and we'll get him.
Yeah, but again,
But
coming
there are
back to
obstacles.
the Rooney rule, and it's not just about ethnic, as we said earlier. It's about a process that you may have five managers, and you might be actually quite surprised. It's like the Steve King situation. He's never been a manager before, but he was given the opportunity. Now the process would have been probably you interviewed different people, and he's been given the job. If things like that need to be put in place, which will benefit the situation, what's going on.
Yeah, the process it has been put into place, and the process is ongoing. The process is taking a little bit more time simply because of history.
You advertise the post.
No.
So you need to do
No, football manager
That is part of it. You see, honestly, that is part of it, because some people think, no point me applying for that because I won't even get a reply. I won't even get an acknowledgement letter.
Yeah, of course.
Shebby, let me ask you this. Have you decided what you want yet? Because I've heard you speaking about the different types of managers that you could go for. Have you decided which one
Yeah,
you would be going
I think, and this is football in general, right? It's not related to Shebby Singh or to Blackburn Rovers directly. I think in football, I think there's three categories. One is, of course, the senior, the experienced, wise old head, and it's not too many of them, by the way. And then you have a group, who have tasted success, who have tasted failure as well, and they know, and you know what you can get from them. And this group is big. And then the third one, is there, the next best thing, the young manager, dynamic, vibrant, who can be the next best thing. I mean, in 2002, Porto said, Jose Mourinho, hang on a minute, we'll give him a chance. So this group obviously is the most interesting one, because you've got to look, you've got to find, you've got to search, you've got, so that has possibly why it has taken more time.
And it doesn't help when you do get knocked back. For example, Billy McKinley, I guess, would fit into that category, the Fulham coach.
This is very, very important again, because when it's not a manager, you can try to approach the club and say, may we speak with someone. It doesn't mean we are going to employ that person, but we would like someone to come in and say, this is my vision, this is my footballing philosophy, this is how, I think this club can move forward. And so that is why, we made those official approaches, and both times we were turned down, Tim Sherwood and Billy McKinley. Could they be the next big ones? Well, only time will tell.
Just on that procedure has always been ongoing since football began. You approach people, other people come and whisper in your ear. Have you thought, this is where we talk about the ethnic minorities and the lack of black managers. A lot of them will think, it's no point me even putting pen to paper. If you were to advertise and say, we are welcoming any applicants from across the piece, I think you might encourage people to do that. But
now,
at the moment,
officially, and this is official what I'm saying now, Blackburn Rovers Football Club will never ever be accused of being unfair, because we did employ Paul Ince, don't forget that. So we are not in that category.
I'm not accusing you of that. I'm saying the procedure needs to be widened to try and capture those who may be interested but thinking, I've got no chance, so why am I bother applying?
No, I think you need to have that belief in yourself. If you want something bad enough, you go out there, you sell yourself and say, look, this is me, I want it. Yeah. And that hunger has got to come from the individual, not by the club saying, we'll advise and we'll advertise and things like that.
The reality, Shebby, the reality.
The individual must knock on my door and say, hang on a minute, I want to be here.
Yeah, but Shebby, they won't knock on your door because they don't even think they'll even be able to get to the door.
So that is a different problem. That
no, that's the reality. At the moment, each generation of black players over the years have said, why am I bothering? And don't forget, you've got people who
you mustn't give up.
No,
You know,
Shebby,
we don't see visibility.
me personally, I think you're being a little bit naive there, and you know things are different. You know, I think when the owners first came in, when I was at Blackburn, one of the statements, and I can remember as a player, and we all looked at each other. One of the first statements was, "We'll be in the top 5." Was, you know, that's like.
Was that from the owners?
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't here then, but
As Jason said, things have moved on. If you go back a number of years, we had about 5 or 6. Going back to Keith Alexander,
yes.
You know, in low division. We also had Ruud Gullit, John Tiggener.
Oh yeah.
Right now, that you can see that was a high point for Black Mariners. Since then, the numbers have kept on going down and down
That
and
should
down.
have been the start of.
Yes, but it isn't. And we'll always have one or two. You know, Chris Powell, Chrissy Hooton, Paul Ince. But there's a generation thinking, you know what? Why am I investing in myself when I can see no visibility across the landscape of football?
Let's not pick on Shebby just because he's here, because that's my job.
I'm talking about club owners who need to be a bit more inclusive.
You talked about the first category there was an experienced older head. Someone like, I don't know, Sam Allardyce springs to mind. Where do you think you would be if Sam Allardyce was still at Blackburn?
Sam's doing great at West Ham.
He was doing okay at Blackburn.
Well, I wasn't here then, so
Come on, Shebby.
I wasn't here, and I cannot, you know, try to defend what happened before I came, but what is going to happen, I mean, Sam's a good manager. He's done well at West Ham. He's proven it time and again.
Well, tell us, what is the grand plan then for Blackburn? Because this is what I'm a little bit confused about. You change the manager, you put a coach in charge, rather than recruiting, as we talked about that process. You're relegated. The net spend, I think, is about minus 10 million from the Venkies right now. So they're taking money out of the club rather than investing, it would seem, at the moment. Where do you want to be?
You know, we've invested in 12 new players, and how can that show that we are not thinking forward, you know, or we are not forward thinking?
It depends what you sell, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
You continue to sell your best players and buy inferior players.
But it all depends on how you know, and this is going to be another argument, how you define our best players. Are they the big name players, or are they the best players? I think that there is always some confusion in football. Big name players will not necessarily be producing, you know, as individuals they do, but sometimes as a collective that can weaken.
Was Chris Sandman not your best player?
Well, I was not here. I mean, he was okay. I was on the outside looking in, and Chris Samba, yes, he was Blackburn Rovers' best defender.
Yeah, of course. You don't go to Man United if you're not a top player.
Phil Jones, if it was now, I would hang on to Phil Jones. I'll do everything possible to keep him, because he would be somebody that we can build the club around. Now, if it was now, I would deal with it.
But with Phil Jones, you let him go. Was it last summer? And he went. He was sold on last summer, and he went and played a lot of games for Man United in Champions League in his first season in Champions League.
One of the things is there are certain players that you can't keep, particularly when big clubs come knocking on the door. It's what you do with the money that you receive. That gives an idea of where your ambitions lie.
Shebby, what about the Venkies themselves, who were driven away, weren't they, rather, at the back end of last season? We're going to see them back supporting the club soon?
My bosses have been here on 4 occasions already. They've watched 4 games so far this season, and they will be coming for more games. They definitely will be attending more games.
Do you think there's been I don't know if it's racism against them, or is it more of a snobbery because of how they've earned their money? They're not steel magnets, they're chicken farmers.
Well, I think, it's very unkind, to insult someone's profession, to insult someone's livelihood, so to speak, or to insult someone's business.
But do you think that has been a factor?
I don't know. I wouldn't
say that's been a factor. From my interaction with the supporters, which I still have, I wouldn't say that's the problem. I say a lot of people, when Sam Allardyce was dismissed, a lot of people maybe felt that there was an agenda, that was wrong. As you said, Sam was doing well with the team. The team were in the top 10.
Factors.
The team was in the top 10. We was in the top 10 then. you know, and there was these promises that were put out by the Venkies. There was links with big players, and they were saying we're going after Ronaldinho. And, you know,
we clarified that.
We as players thought that was a bit naive, and I think the supporters have seen that, and they've been, you know, the supporters were excited, and all none of this materialised.
Listen, I can't change history, but I can try to influence the future.
Final thought on this then, Shebby. When is the interviewing process starting?
Well, it has started already.
You've interviewed a candidate already?
If I was not here tonight, I'll be interviewing someone.
We're very grateful that you're with us.
But you must try to understand the sensitivities in making this appointment after what happened, right? So that is why you've got to tread with caution. And if caution means taking a little bit more time than usual, we'll take it.
I just think, Shebby, you just got to be careful, because in this league, it's a tough league to get out of.
It is
and
the toughest second division in the world.
If you fall too far behind.
So when we'll get an appointment, Shebby? This week? Next week?
Next week, definitely by middle of next week.
Okay, you heard it here. Shebby, thank you. Well done. Still got lots more to talk about, not least